Hi everybody, it's me. I just wanted to go ahead and say good evening to everybody, and I hope that things are going really well for you today. I am here to give you a little heads up about the Google Forms application. Today I want to teach you a few things that you can do with it. So we're going to take a few minutes to go through the application and look through all of the different things that you can do from start to finish. You will be able to create your own thing, and hopefully by the time I'm done with the stream, you'll be able to do all the things that you had hoped to do. So let's get started. The very first thing that you're going to do is go into your Google. So here's how we start. You are going to go into Google. So it looks like this. And you'll go and you'll scroll down. Once you log in to your account, you're going to want to do that first this way. So you'll click on the little circle or the little bar. It'll say login. Sign into whatever account you have. If you're a KCC employee, you'll be logging into your KCC account. If you are somebody who's not a KCC employee, you'll go ahead and log in through another YouTube account, or a Google account. Then you'll go ahead and click over here onto this icon. Looks a little bit like a matrix. Then you'll, when you click on the matrix, you'll get all these little icons. These are all the Google applications that you can use. If you have the Google Classroom, there'll be even more applications that you can access. Our South Campus has the Google Classroom for all the teachers. Southeast is working on it, and the Orange County Campus will be getting it shortly. But the Google Forms looks like this. It looks like a purple form. So you'll click that. So I have a few in here that have already been created. Google Forms is kind of an amazing tool. When you do this, you're going to be able to create kind of any kind of form that is in your wheelhouse to create. You can use these forms for pretty much any kind of an assessment. So think anything from a vocabulary quiz to a spelling test to a math test to a show what you know. You can have fill in the blank, multiple choice. Really the options are endless, and there's a lot of different add-on applications that allow you to do math and do different kind of advanced things as well. But for our purposes, we're going to start with just a blank one. Now what's fun about it is that you can kind of customize your Google form any way you want. So if you don't like purple or you want to add a graphic, you can change the color of it. You can add an image of whatever. So let's say I want to be a rock and roll star today. I can make it a rock and roll quiz. You can upload any image. So if this is, let's say, I don't know, you want to make one that has to do with Paris, you could upload a skyline of the Paris cityscape. Or you could do one that had to do with technology and upload some kind of computer backdrop or whatever it is that suits your fancy. I find that it just adds a nice little touch, but it's not required, obviously. You can make it something basic. So that's the color palette here. This gives you a preview of your quiz so that you just kind of know what you're doing. Obviously, it's kind of a boring quiz at this point. Here is your settings for your quiz. So this is going to let you know to whom you're going to give this quiz, how the quiz is going to be presented to the people who are going to be giving it, and then this part only works in the people who have the Google Classroom. So grading it won't happen unless you have Google Classroom. So for us, for example, if I'm only going to be giving it to people who have a KCC email address, it'd be only people who have the KCC email address that's registered with the Google Classroom through our school, not just people who just have a KCC email address. So if your email address exists, but it's not registered through Google Classroom, it still won't work. But you can do this and make it so that everybody out there in the whole world can use this quiz. So I could make this so that all of you could do this and everybody in the whole world could take this quiz. I can make it so that you can only answer it one time, which means that you will have to have a sign-in to Google. That can be difficult when you're giving it to students because they will have to actually log in. So I usually don't do that. Response receipts also require you to be logged into something. So again, I usually don't do those two things. However, what I do in order to track which student did what is I will have them put their name as one of the questions. So if I'm not going to have them sign into the classroom, if I am just going to give them the quiz, one of the questions is, what's your name? And then giving them the ability to edit it after they submit it, which also obviously you have to be able to log in and get to your own thing. And then seeing the summary of charts and responses. That's if you want them to be able to get the feedback. So if you're really, if you're doing a class poll, for example, and everybody is going to take it, they're going to be able to see, you know, how many kids like the red M&M over the green M&M or whatever. Presentation, so giving your class the ability to know how far they are into the test or quiz, shuffling the question order, and showing the link to submit another response. So I do this, I actually use this also as my bathroom pass. So the kids would have to say, you know, who it was that was going to the restroom, what subject they were going to the restroom during, and then submit another response so that it would sit there and it was ready for the next student. It was kind of fun for them, and it also made them accountable. Like, I've gone to the restroom every day during language arts. I wonder if there's a pattern. And then you can give them this confirmation. And sometimes I would write, have a fun time in the restroom or something, you know, smart. So you can make this a quiz, and if you do that, the kids can actually get their feedback immediately after they complete it, which I find to be amazing. This requires them to have signed in, of course, and they do have to have a Google Classroom account, which means that you need to have registered all your students in the classroom. And this will only work if you have Google Classroom. This won't work if you don't have the classroom. Or if it's got especially open-ended questions or essay part. Obviously, it'll have to be later after a manual review. But anything that's got multiple choice or something that can be graded by the computer, having it graded immediately gives the kids fantastic feedback. And it gives them that chance to really have ownership of the grade, and it also gives you the chance to not have to wait. There's no delay. And I think that kind of takes out some of that teacher anxiety when you get home on a Saturday and you're sitting there with your big pile of papers having to grade them all. This right here makes my life a lot easier. So you can give your students the ability to see what they missed, what they got right, and how much each was worth. So I find that amazingly helpful. Of course, if you don't have the Google Classroom set up for your school, this part will not be available. But we're going to go ahead and leave it on anyway. So, back to the form. We're going to give this form a name. So I gave it a title. Okay. So if I click up there, it'll copy that. Now, obviously, if I don't want this quiz to be called Rock and Roll, I can change the name there, and it won't necessarily change the name here, but keeping it the same makes your life a whole lot easier. Now, as you're going through, this is when you get to add all of your substance. Google is kind of fun in that it gives you a lot of ability to add all kinds of different types of questions. So you can make your questions have pictures. As you can see, the little icons with images. So you can take pictures out of your computer, you can search the internet, you can upload pictures, you can take a screenshot, you can look at yourself and make an ugly face at your students if you want, whatever works for you. Okay, so you can do multiple choice. Okay, this is what it's set on right now. But you have other ways that you can put it. You can do a short answer, paragraph style, multiple choice, check boxes. So if there's multiple awesome rockers of all time, drop down menus, linear scales, grids, date and time, and then if you are a math teacher or somebody who has got a specialty that's outside of this, you can actually go into some of the more advanced parts of the Google Forms and get some applications that will allow you to type in things that are more mathematical in nature. So that's kind of awesome as well. Anyway, so let's say we'll do, and we will do, other. Yeah, we'll leave a blank, so fill in the blank. So you can then add a YouTube video of one of these awesome rockers. You can add an image of them. You can add a different subsection of this question. And you can add little mini titles or descriptions. And then you can go ahead and put in the answer. And the answer would be, let's just say Mick Jagger, because I like Mick Jagger. And then you can also give feedback. So and then you can even attach an article proving that Mick Jagger is the best, if indeed that is your correct answer. So, and this is worth 1 point. And then we move on. So we're going to go ahead and add now another question. And we go on down through our quiz, and we'll make all these different kinds of questions. At the end, now this is assuming in this kind of situation that my student has signed in, because they're obviously going to be getting graded on this, so they've signed in. If my student hadn't been signed in, then of course this would be completely, I would have had the very first question, what is your name? What I really like about this, though, and what's really awesome, is that you will be able to track your students, all of your students, in real time while they're answering it. So I'm going to go ahead and show you from here. We're going to go back out. When I log into Google, we've been hijacked here. So when we go into Google and we go into Forms, I have a lot that I have saved in here, and unfortunately I did not save my classroom before, so my other ones don't exist. You can see the rock and roll one I started. We can see the tech ticket that I use for my school, but you can also see some ones that I have made for other reasons. So, for example, here is a super quick vocabulary quiz that I gave at one point to my students. So I made quick multiple choice vocabulary quiz. I made it in 5 minutes. I made everything required so that my students could not finish without completing all the questions. Now I can see how accurate and how many of these words my students were able to get every time. So I know how successful my teaching was. I would do an early assessment, and it looks like this one probably was one of my earlier assessments. And this will let me know, okay, they already know these words, or they have some kind of mastery of the words, but they don't have full mastery. So I can kind of get a gauge here. Now, obviously, I don't know which students have this. So if I want to see their individual results, I can do this. So this will give me the student name and all of the tests results like this, which I find really helpful. So what I'll do is I can look down the list. This is without the grading feature, because of course I didn't have that turned on right now, and I unfortunately didn't save any of those from last year. But I can look and I see, okay, well, the question was to produce something as a result of time, effort, or work. The answer was yield. So I know that's incorrect, that's incorrect, that's incorrect. That one, that one, that one, and that one. And I would just go through and say, okay, these are the students that need to work on that. And it was really easy for me to visually see where it is that we're missing. And I could track it. I could take these things, take them into a spreadsheet, average it out, put their grades in. I literally was able to grade all of their assessments so quickly just by having it all at my fingertips. The students really liked it because they were able to do it online. So what I would do is I would have them come into the classroom. I would have I would make a QR code for each and every one of these things. I would have them take the iPad, they would scan the QR code, they would sit down, they would do their quiz, and they did it as morning work every single time. So them in their morning work, they would sit there, they would do their quiz, and it would be done before the day even began. It was so fast, so easy, and I was graded before my day was over. It was already in my grade book, and the parents had feedback before their kids came home from school. I found that that was amazingly efficient. Now, if it's in the classroom, you can also share it with the parents immediately, so the parents can have access to those grades right away. I find that that's even quicker than you don't even have to tell the parents. Yes, of course, with our district forms, we do have to put the grades into our SB, so we do have to do that. I know all the districts run in a different way, but usually there is a grading system. But when you use the Google Sheets, which is what that was, when I clicked on the Google Sheets, that's how that worked out. Now, here's another one that I did. We decided that we wanted to have the students help create some different ideas. So the kids actually made some different things. They said, oh, well, we want to make a play. So some of the kids created some of these forms. Now, this one didn't end up getting used, but they created this, and you can see the subsections. So section 1, this is actually what my students created, and you can see how the subsections look then. And this is what the images would look like imported into it. So it's kind of limitless, the things that you can do with these. Your options are without a doubt there. You are able to kind of make the best of this. Now, when I did this, I would take the data then and I would use it to say, all right, class, we did the pre-assessment. 75% of us knew what X word or what Y equation meant or knew how to solve that problem. I would like us to get to 95% of us know how to do that on the next assessment period. How do you think we could do that to the best of our ability? And it turns out the kids were able to tell me more often than not exactly how they thought that should be done. And I really, really thought that their feedback was more meaningful than my telling them how to get from point A to point B. So in the end, I spent less time teaching and more time letting them figure out how to solve their problems. And they would work with each other to problem solve and to teach each other how best to solve and find the best answers. I found that Google Forms really helped streamline my classroom. And I think that if you use this form in the way that you can and push it to the limit, really use it for everything, you'll find that everything is tracked. You have data on everything, including bathroom breaks. I can't even stress enough how great it was for bathrooms. I had a QR code on my door, and so when the kids would go to leave, they would scan it. It would be on the iPad, and then I knew when they left. And if there was a student that was using it excessively, I was able to show their parent, well, John is going to the bathroom 75 times a day. And is staying an average of 2.5 minutes in the bathroom, And it was able to open that dialogue with the parents, and we were able to, kind of narrow down what we can do to help and streamline the classroom. So I hope everybody was able to really get something out of it, and I hope you were able to use your Google Forms now. What I would like you to do as part of your completion requirement for this training is to create a Google form and then email it to me and let me respond to your Google form. So those of you who are a member of our KCC family, you can email me at my work address. If you are outside of our KCC family, I can't give you credit for your awesomeness, but feel free to email me anyway. You'll see my email address in the bio of this video. And I hope that you have gotten something out of it, and I hope you have a good night. All right, thanks.